Good morning and happy Tuesday. Okay, the hair thing is really getting annoying. Do you remember the Flowbee? Does anybody remember the Flowbee? The X generation feels like it's rising as a result of this whole thing, and that Flowbee thing needs to come back. We need the Flowbee so that we can do our hair. I swear to God, I'm just going to get a razor and just get rid of all of this. Do you know that Ron Popeil Pocket Fisherman is still one of the highest selling infomercials ever? I'll look that up for you tomorrow as to how much that guy sold. That guy made millions from that stupid little thing and kind of invented the infomercial. There's a guy that had an idea and followed it through. So if you start listening to any of this motivational, self-development, destiny technology stuff outside of the law of attraction, because I think that's kind of its own thing. I mean, it's the same basic concepts, but I think the approach there is a little bit. And if you don't know anything about the law of attraction and Abraham Hicks, we can talk about that at some time too, because that's very interesting and very interesting conversations. But today, what I want to talk about is this idea of the reptilian brain, because this is something that's being talked about quite a bit in these, self-help stuff. And I wanted to just kind of explain what that is. Okay, the reptilian portion of the brain is the first part of the brain to form in the womb. And it's the most basic emotions. It's fight or flight. And by the way, your sense of smell is what goes to the reptilian brain the most of all the senses. So that's why, like when you're selling a house, people will bake an apple pie or they'll bake chocolate chip cookies. The hope is that when you were young, your mom made apple pie or chocolate chip cookies, and it was a time when you were enjoying life. And so that'll go to the reptilian portion of the brain. And you'll feel good as you're walking through the house. Now, if your mom made apple pie and then would beat the hell out of you, well, now you're going to smell the apple pie and you're going to think of that. So it's not going to work very well. So the point being, the reptilian portion of the brain is the part of the brain that's been developed over tens of thousands of years, millions of years. And it's a fight or flight concept. And we as humans have changed our situation in the world very dramatically, very quickly. But our brains haven't completely adapted to that. So there's still a portion of our brains that operate against us. And this reptilian portion of the brain is like that. So this portion of the brain is designed to protect you from the world. It's designed to protect you from saber-toothed tigers. It's designed to protect you from getting killed. So it's very cautious. It engages quickly. It's a sharp reaction, and it's a reaction to pull back. It's a reaction to hesitate. It's a reaction to not take a risk, essentially. So understand that when you start to move forward in life, and especially if you decide to do something extraordinary, your brain's going to work against you. And it's doing that because it's supposed to be protecting you. And by protecting you, it's going to not want you to take a risk. Because even if the risk is only financial or emotional, your brain still protects you from that. And will try to stop you from doing that. So there's a great book, and I forget the lady's name, the 3-2-1 book. The lady that her whole concept is she went to get up one morning in Boston, and she made believe NASA was there, and she didn't want to get up, but then she counted 3-2-1 like it was a blast off, and then got up, and that interrupted her pattern. And then from there, she was able to, basically, she used that to change her life. She would use that concept to get away from the reptilian brain. Here's all you need to know, is the reptilian brain exists. as I said, when that airplane is flying from Chicago to Hawaii, most of the time it's off. Most of the time when they check their course, they are not on course. But do they freak out when they find out that they're off course? Do the pilots start screaming at each other? Do they panic? No, they just adjust. And that's all of the concept that you need in order to deal with the reptilian brain. You don't really need to spend any time on it other than that, I don't think. It's there to protect you. You're going to have knee-jerk reactions. And the only thing that stops us from attempting to do anything is fear, right? False evidence appearing real. That's all it is when we say we're stressed, when we say we don't want to do anything, when we're being overly cautious, that's nothing but fear. That doesn't mean that you should go out and be reckless. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't pay attention and try to protect yourself. Obviously you need to do all of those things. But if you're just not even attempting the result, then you're doing that out of fear. And remember our 4 boxes, okay? The first box up here is what is the potential? And the potential of any human being is limitless. I mean, over the past 200 years, we've easily proven that, if we set our mind to doing something, we can accomplish anything, especially if we do it in a group. Do you know that one of the origins, and don't get overly wrapped up on this idea, somebody will look this up and say, well, it's not the only origin. Well, but understand the concept. One of the origins of the word lunatic is if you at some point believed that man would travel to the moon. That's true. Lunatic. If you thought 100 years ago that man would someday travel to the moon, people would say, you're a lunatic. That's never going to happen. Well, it did happen. And how did it happen? It happened simply because we decided to go. That's all that happened. And then everybody put their minds to it, and we figured it out, and we went to the moon. We can go through example after example after example after example. But the potential of human beings is unlimited. Next box over here is belief. What is that particular human being's or group of human beings' belief of what is capable? And then from there you have action. What's the action that they take as a result of this belief? And then here you have results. And then the wheel goes like this. So the potential is unlimited. The belief is what truly matters. Because if you believe that anything is possible, then your action is going to be very different than if your belief is, I don't really think that this can work out. Even if somebody's telling you, if you believe, I don't think that this is going to happen, then your action is not going to equal a great outcome. If your belief is this isn't going to be a good result, you'll take less action, and then you'll get less outcome, and then the cycle will continue downwards. Because as you get less outcome, then you're going to pull back and say, see, my belief was right. This isn't possible. And so now you'll believe the potential is even less. You'll believe that the outcome is going to be even less. You'll take less action. You'll get a worse outcome. And that's the spiral. And that we talked about that before. And how do you change that? Great way is doing things like this. Morning traditions. Conditioning yourself. Focusing on what's possible. Hearing stories about people who've accomplished just ridiculous things. And understanding that anything is there. Everything that you do is a cause set in motion. Everything. And we're all on our way to somewhere. Everybody's on their way to somewhere else. So when you start watching videos like this, when you start reading books, when you start focusing on what your outcome is, when you start reading stories on people who've done amazing things, each one of these is a cause set of motion, and each one of those affects that belief as to what is possible. And you don't have to change things overnight. The Queen Mary doesn't turn on a dime. Little itty bitty changes. 1% changes, just a little change over time is a massive change in your life. So just do it every day. The key to any outcome is consistency. The key to your weight management, the key to your financial future, if you want financial freedom, the key to that is consistently taking the actions, consistently spending more than you make, consistently investing, consistently monitoring your money and paying attention to it so that you know what it's doing. It's not rocket science, it's consistency. And that's the case with everything. So in order to change your beliefs and change your actions, just work on it every day. Just be consistent every morning in terms of how you approach those things. And over time, you're going to look back and go, holy cow. We as humans typically way overestimate what we can do in a year, but we way underestimate what we can do in 5. And if you go back and look at some of the things that you have accomplished in your life, now you take it for granted. Take a minute today and go back and think about something that you once thought you couldn't do. And you now do, and you don't even think about it. And ask yourself, how did I do that? How did I change that belief? And typically it started with just little bits, little itty bitty changes. And even at the beginning, there was part of you that was like, I'm not sure this is going to work out, but I'm going to do it. And you do little itty bitty changes. And then over time, suddenly that belief happens, and it all results because you have made a decision. You'd made a decision that you were going to change your life, and then over time you change the beliefs and you change the actions, and so now you change the outcome. So remember, look back today, find something that was a huge accomplishment, something that you wanted for a long time, and then you did it, and then think about how you did that. And you're going to see you took consistent results that over time very much changed your beliefs. We underestimate what we can do in a year, but we overestimate what we can do in a year. We way underestimate what we can do in 5. Think about where you could be in the next 5 years if you made a decision today that was going to impact the rest of your life. Have a great day, everybody. Make it a great Tuesday. We're all in this together, and we're going to get through it.